No, it's not true. If you look at the economic figures for the last quarter, in that time alone, Britain has a £24 billion trading deficit with the European Union, which means in effect that they need us more than we need them in many ways. And do you really believe for a second that the German car manufacturers, or indeed the French farmers, who, by the way, outside the EU, Britain is its biggest marketplace, do you think they would allow their governments to engage in a trade war with Britain? Of course not. There would be a free trade deal on the table, and it would be good for us, and it would be good for the European Union as well. Because he was forced to, because there was a huge upsurge in support for Ukip in 2012 and early 2013, and he thought that he could shoot the Ukip fox, as we say, or negate Ukip's progress by calling a referendum. That didn't happen. We went on and won the European elections that following year, and of course now Cameron is forced to give a referendum that he never wanted to give in the first place. Well, if Leave wins, then of course there will be a 2-year period where Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty will be invoked, and then we will renegotiate ourselves out of the European Union, which will ensure that Britain is more democratic, because the people who make the laws in Britain will be the British people themselves. It will mean that we're not handing over £55 million every single day to this organisation, and let's not forget, this is a European Union that hasn't had its account signed off for 20 years on the bounce. And of course, the final point is that if we do leave, we will be able to control our own borders, because under freedom of movement of people rules, we can't have a say who comes and who doesn't come from within the European Union. And we can have a system like Australia, whereby we can choose who we need and who we don't need. Yes, he should. I think he will have to go if he loses this referendum. I think he will also have to go if he wins this referendum, because he's lost control of his own party. And we believed that there will probably be about 40 Conservative MPs who would back the Leave campaign. It's actually half his parliamentary party. It's about 150 who've said that Britain would be better off out. So it's quite clear now that Mr Cameron does not have the unequivocal support of his own parliamentary party. Well, he's gone through his renegotiation, which quite frankly didn't add up to anything. He asked for nothing and he got nothing. I suppose the only thing he can say that he got is a commitment to put a cap on in-work benefits for migrants by 2020. The problem with that is that it's his secondary legislation, and the European Parliament can vote that down after the referendum. So in reality, he hasn't got anything at all. Well, there's a lack of democracy in Europe, quite clearly, because over half the laws in my country, and I suspect over half the laws in your country, are made not in Rome or in London, they're made here. And they're not made here by the European Parliament and the MEPs. No, they begin about a mile up the road from here in a building called the Parliament building. And in that building, 28 European commissioners, unelected, meet in secret and draw up the legislation. I'm sorry. That isn't democracy, far from it. Well, if Britain vote to leave, then of course we will negotiate our way out and we will sign a free trade deal with the European Union, and then it will be up to other member states what they do. I think if you look at the opinion polls in Holland, and if you look at the opinion polls in Denmark, there could be a number of states who follow our lead. But I do think, if Britain does vote to leave, it will make a great success of itself. It will be able to trade once again globally and sign its own free trade deals, reconnect with markets that we turned our back on in the 1970s. And I think that we will be a beacon of light to the rest of Europe to say, hey, we can exist and prosper outside this European Union, and other countries may follow our lead.